Alright, so now we're playing catch up with these reviews, so yeah, it's gonna be just pumping this shit out. Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is the third movie in the Iron Man trilogy, and it's also the kickoff to Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In Iron Man 3, the Avengers happened, they fought aliens, and now Tony Stark's going back home to live his life, but he's carrying a little bit of post-traumatic stress with him because, you know, fighting aliens and almost dying in a wormhole, that'll do that to you. And a new villain called the Mandarin, played by Ben Kingsley, is on the scene, and his whole goal is to pretty much fuck up the world and fuck up Tony Stark's life from the inside out. Basically, it's pretty much what Iron Man 3 is. And yes, again, spoilers, because all these reviews are going to have spoilers. That shouldn't even need to be a thing that I address anymore. But pretty much what I like about this movie is that it does take Tony Stark in a new direction. It does kind of show that the events of the Avengers kind of really messed with him mentally. He has post-traumatic stress. He says it himself, he's a man in a can. His only line of defense is that he has a suit of armor. If that armor breaks, there's nothing between him and the forces that are trying to kill him. And that's something that really kind of weighs on him in this movie. He realized that he is mortal. He's not a god. He's not a super soldier. He's not a trained elite killer spy. He just is a guy. His main superpower is basically his intellect. So mainly, let's just kind of skip ahead to halfway through the movie when we actually get to stuff that's not all set up. It's actually when we get to some fun Iron Man goodness. It's when all these Mandarin attacks are happening and then Tony Stark finally gets fed up. He calls them out. He says, here's my home address. I'll leave the front door unlocked. You come get me. Sure enough, issuing a threat like that, the Mandarin comes and he, with helicopters and rocket launchers, and he just destroys Tony Stark's house. He destroys everything. Suits, cars, the cute little robot claw machine things that he has, those all get taken out. He's pretty much just jettisons out of there just in the nick of time, and he pretty much is left to his own devices for the rest of the movie, which I actually like that. I like the fact that it's less Iron Man and more Tony Stark. Kind of taking it back to the cave in the opening of Iron Man 1. He has to rely solely on smarts and not just technology. But for the most part, he is mostly fucked, and he's got to figure out how to get the Mandarin. And then he runs into a little kid on his adventures, and the kid is kind of hit or miss. The kid, for the most part, is meant to be like this kid that Tony Stark kind of sees a little bit of himself in him. It kind of borders on annoying at some point. The kid's main goal is to annoy Tony Stark, so if it's annoying you, you're then feeling the same emotions that the character are feeling, so good job, I guess. But they do have one of the funniest exchanges in the movie, which is when he first stumbles upon the kid's house and Tony Stark asks him, he's like, alright, who's home? Kid's like, Mom left for a shift at the diner and Dad went to 7-Eleven to get scratchers. I guess he won because that was 6 years ago. And Tony Stark just shoots back and says, yeah, that happens. Dad leaves. Don't be a pussy about it. Yeah, he's palling around with the kid. He's pretty much like doing his research because apparently one of the earlier bombs that went off, it's the same exact heat signature and the whole setup, the shadows etched into the wall. It's the same thing as all the other Mandarin attacks, but it's something that predates all of the other Mandarin attacks. And as it turns out, there's this extremist thing that people are getting injected, and essentially people who can't handle this drug, and they basically just OD and explode. And then Tony thinks he has him. He's like, it's not a bomb when it's a misfire, but if you sell it to the right party, that's how you get the Mandarin. He finds the Mandarin. Mandarin is apparently in Florida. It's supposed to be like this kind of Arab terrorist, like in a Middle Eastern country somewhere, so how is he in Florida? And he goes on the scene, and this is the part of Iron Man 3 that is pretty much why Iron Man 3 is as divisive as it is. Apparently, Ben Kingsley is not the Mandarin. He is an actor called Trevor Slattery, who's roped in by Guy Pearce's character to pretty much be a terrorist called the Mandarin. Pretty much as a way for Guy Pearce to just kind of be doing things behind the scenes. Pretty much put a face to these attacks and pretty much have the government chasing their own tail so they can buy time, make his soldiers, make extremists what it needs to be, and also have an excuse to commit more terrorist attacks. And again, it is something that is divisive in the movie. The whole thing that the Mandarin is not actually the Mandarin. Something that I flip back and forth on. When I first saw the movie and also a couple of other viewings, I kind of have this feeling of that's a slap in the face to have someone like Sir Ben Kingsley play your villain, only for him to not actually be the villain, having be some drunken, out-of-work actor. Other times I'm in the mindset of, that's genius. I like that Shane Black did that. I like that he pretty much went in this unexpected direction and just said, fuck it, this is what I think makes for the best story. And in that, I feel like I can't really effectively touch on it, since it's an issue that I am so, like, one way or the other on. It flips back and forth between the day. I feel like my opinion now probably changes by the time I upload this video. Does that make sense? Probably not. It's just The fact is, it's either love it or hate it. It just depends on the mood I'm in that day. So as it turns out, Guy Pearce is apparently the guy who is behind all these attacks, and he kidnaps Pepper, so now Tony Stark's gotta go rescue her, and it leads to one of the coolest action scenes in an Iron Man movie. When all the suits start flying in, he's pretty much hopping back and forth between suits, just kicking ass, and it's what you want to see in an Iron Man movie. It's fucking awesome. I really like it. Until it's not awesome, and it kind of goes on for a little longer than it's supposed to. I feel like, you know, you look at the Avengers, this is kind of riding the coattails of the Avengers. The last 30 to 40 minutes of that movie was this big explosion-filled extravaganza in New York, and it was awesome, and it was fun, and we all loved it. So in Iron Man 3, they kind of feel like, well, let's just do what worked for us in the last movie, and we'll have another 30 to 40 minutes that's just fun, explosion, extravaganza, and it won't feel like it's going on for too long, is it? It does for the most part. Killian shows up and just says, no more false faces, it was always me, I am the Mandarin. And that was one of those things where it's like, are you? Not really. Just kind of because you made up the Mandarin does not mean you yourself are the Mandarin. It's just, that doesn't make sense. So he says that, and then it looks like he's about to kick Tony Stark's ass, and then Pepper hits him with a pole and blows him up, and it's pretty much the end of it. Now Guy Pearce is dead. Pepper has the Extremis virus, and Tony says, nah, I almost figured this out. I think I'm good. I think I got you. He's like, all right, I want to make you happy, so just blow all my suits. So he blows up all the suits, he gets the arc reactor out of his chest and chucks it in the ocean. He doesn't need that anymore, and he says by the end of the movie, the armor was a cocoon, and now I'm essentially a changed man. Who am I? I am Iron Man, which is a good callback to the first movie, and movie's over, and it's credits. And then the post-credit scene, which is just apparently the person that he was narrating the movie to the whole time was Bruce Banner, and Banner was like, I'm not a therapist, I don't have the temperament for that, which would have been hilarious if Mark Ruffalo did not spoil that on his Twitter a week before the movie came out. I remember 6 years ago just scrolling through Twitter, and then Mark Ruffalo was like, for those of you wondering, yeah, I do have a cameo at the end of Iron Man 3, stick around to the post-credit scene, which just goes to show you that Mark Ruffalo has been spoiling these movies for as long as he's had a Twitter account. But anyway, that's pretty much my thoughts on Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is cool. It's better than Iron Man 2. It's not as good as Iron Man 1. It has its flaws for sure. I feel like the whole thing with the Mandarin is just something, again, I flip back and forth on. It really depends on the day of whether that's something that detracts from the movie or not. The last 40 minutes being this big explosion fest. It goes on for a bit longer than it probably should. I feel like the comedy at some points kind of overrides the drama. Kind of disappointing because you'll have these dramatic moments and you're like, oh yeah, nice dramatic moment. Kind of trying to hit me in the feels. Oh, joke. Okay, well, I guess that just emotional moment is now null and void. I think Iron Man 3 is a fitting conclusion to the Iron Man trilogy, and I feel like Iron Man 3 is a movie that I'd buy on Blu-ray. Because I did buy it on Blu-ray, and I watch it on Blu-ray, and life is good. I like the movie. So yeah, Iron Man 3. And stay tuned, because I have my review for Thor: The Dark World coming out. Anyway, Iron Man 3. What's your favorite movie of the Iron Man trilogy? Sound off in the comments. Oh, and I also have outro music now, because I feel like staring at a silent 5-second end card was getting a little boring, so I have outro music now. So anyway, Iron Man 3, favorite movie of the trilogy. Sound off in the comments. And if you like what you've seen, you can click right here, and I will see you guys next time.